Hey guys, Arm&Gun here. Welcome to the show. I got another fun 5 guns video for today. And today it really is kind of five categories of guns. I might have like 6 or 7 that you guys see, but the theme today is 5 guns for everyday life. So basically, if you were restricted to only 5 guns, you just wanted guns for practical reasons, you know, in today's day and age, this is what I would recommend and why I would recommend it. So let's start off with something really basic. Probably the first thing that I would get in Canada, where I am, we're not allowed to own things like handguns for self-defense reasons. I'm not even going to begin to talk about that. That's definitely content for another video. But the first thing that I would get with that in mind is a 9mm handgun. And I would take 9mm just because the number of shots matter more than the size of the shot. And it's for me, I mean, it depends how big your hands are, how, you know, recoil sensitive you are. But for me, 9mm is good. Maybe 380 for some people would be another good alternative. It's better if you can shoot it well. So for me, I mean, I like my 1911s as well. But just for weight, for number of shots, and for shootability, I'm going to go with a nice, you know, a classic Beretta M9A3. So, or a Glock or something like that. That'd be my first pick, and that's why I would take it. Also, again, I'd choose a caliber that's readily available in your area, really common. And that's going to be something that I'm going to talk about with a lot of these picks and why I picked them. And it's due to, you know, popularity in your area, likelihood of, you know, parts interchangeability, ammo interchangeability with your buddies, things like that. So if you want a gun for practical reason, you don't want to pick some obscure caliber that's going to be really hard to source to feed your gun. It's also good to have a lot of variety of ammunition as well. If you want different types of ammunition, or different ones that just function better with your gun, things like that. So at any rate, that's my first category, be handgun, and this would be my pick, and those would be my reasons. Next up, I'm gonna go with, if I had to pick a second gun after the first one, it's tough. It's tough, but I would probably go with an AR or AK variant because well, again, there's the whole self-defensive side again, which I'm probably going to just push out of this conversation for now, but for sustenance, for hunting. So shotgun would also be a close contender, but I mean, I guess you can hunt with slugs, but I'm probably going to say you're going to want a rifled gun with a good optic if you're going to take something like a deer or something like that from up to a couple hundred yards, a couple hundred feet or meters. So I'm gonna go with that, and for that purpose, I'm going to go with an AR. It probably is my primary choice. Again, this is gonna be a little bit dependent on what country you're in, what part of the world you're in, but I'm gonna go with, you know, Canada up here. We like our ARs. We've definitely got lots of ARs up here, but I'm next to the States. So, and I know most of my viewership, like about half of my viewership, is from the States as well. So I'm gonna pander to them a little bit and just say, hey, your buddies probably, you know, of your friend group, someone's got an AR, someone's gonna have 223 ammo, and that's just a good time. The other reason I like the AR is that it's a very modern gun. It's a very modular platform. You can swap tons of parts out for whatever you want. Maybe not this HK. This is like literally, this is a MR223 with a 416 upper. So this is basically your, you know, this is your 416 essentially. And this is definitely not probably the more the practical guns. Dead nuts reliable. The system was meant to just be taken like to hell and back, and still shoot. But you've got more proprietary parts in there, and that's going to be a bit of a problem. So I would recommend just in general AR category type of gun, probably something that's a little more just user built. This is also super expensive, and for practicality, I'd probably go with something a little less. I would recommend a combat style optic though, something with, you know, low variable power. So this guy, my LK Inspector DR, which is just my go-to for these types of weapon platforms or gun platforms, is I just love the fact that you can go from 1 power, really just clear picture, to 4 power. Just flick of a switch like that. It's got multiple versions of illumination. It's got backup irons. You can also mount a red dot on here, an RMR style. And it's awesome. I just love that optic. Super clear glass, good field of view. It's just, for me, that's my go-to. But again, expensive. You could get by with something that's way less expensive. Actually, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself here. I wanted to show the calibers as well. So, Beretta M9 A3, we got a nice little 9mm. for your AR, this is going to be your 5.56 cartridge, 223, 5.56. Tons of alternate chamberings for these as well, but I'm going to recommend sticking with something that's common in your area. Say if you're in France and you're before 2013 or whenever it was they made the change, you'd want 222 Remington, because that's what more civilians would have had. I guess that's a toss-up, and that's kind of a tangent, so we're going to stick away from that for now, but it's irrelevant now anyways. But yeah, so that, and then as another version of this category, I'm going to say grab this or an AK, or AK derivative. So this is a Vz58, and I'm showing this. This is a bit for my Canadian audience. AKs have been banned up here for about 25 years, so there isn't a lot of parts supply. There's a couple new AK variants that are coming into the country that are approved now, like the M10X, that guy. So we're getting a little bit more AR mags, but those are still few and far between. There are thousands and thousands, like tens of thousands of these Vz58s up here, or at least, I don't know, maybe 10. I don't know, I'm guessing at numbers here. But 5 figures of these things for sure. Lots of guys have them. They were pretty inexpensive when they came in. And Vz58 magazines are, you know, they're pretty prevalent up here. In the States, I would not recommend this. I would definitely grab an AK before I grabbed, you know, something like that, because you just got more parts interchangeability, more commonality, that kind of thing. But both guns take the infamous 7.62x39 round. You know, lots of this ammo round is pretty cheap, so that's, again, a good option. Lots of hunting rounds for this as well, so definitely a very fine option. After these things, because I think you can fill a lot of roles with those two guns, but if you got the chance to have a third, I'm gonna probably go for a shotgun. In this case, something simple. We've just got our Remington 870, good old pump shotgun. So this is a 12 gauge, which is this guy right here. Again, lots of flexibility in terms of types of rounds you can use. You can use light bird shot, target shot like that for, you know, if you're grouse hunting or something similar. You can use slugs, rifled slugs for things. It's really easy to pop these barrels out. So you can change from a smooth bore to a rifled barrel, use rifled slugs. That's pretty cool. Shotguns are just incredibly versatile. And there's so many things you can randomly shoot out of them too. Not that that's really applicable in this case, but just great guns. And again, great for, you know, great to just have these ones always on standby. So pump, nice and reliable. You can cycle you don't have to worry about any cycling issues when you got a pump as well. So I'd probably go in that order for all this stuff, because again, at this point, you can hunt bird, you can hunt larger game like deer and things like that, and you've got plenty of ways of protecting yourselves. So next up, I'm probably going to recommend the 1022, because, well, in terms of a 22, nice little semi-automatic, or bolt, honestly. I think it's just good to have a 22 for a number of reasons. One, this is the round, so even next to a 9mm, actually a better comparison would be to a 223, because I think this is a good alternative to using a 223 for small game, varmint control, and also training. Again, you want to be able to know how to run a gun and shoot and all that kind of thing, and it's way easier to train someone on a 22 than it is on an AR. Not that an AR is hard to shoot, but your rounds are 10 times the price, and honestly, more noise, more recoil, there's lots of reasons why I would start out with the 1022. And again, you don't need this for gophers. This works just fine. So that's going to be my fourth pick. And now my fifth, now if you've got enough funds available, you got enough stuff, I'm going to recommend, you know, something that's going to stretch out a little further. A bolt gun, for example, because I think now you're going to be up into, you know, taking out that bigger game from further away. You're going to be able to humanely and effectively dispatch a deer from 500 yards. Well, maybe that's a bit excessive. Well, maybe not for this rifle and the optic I've got on it, but at least you're pushing out, you know, 300 yards now. So I picked 308 as my caliber. Again, very common. I would just, you know, stick with what's popular in your area. Again, 308, again, being a NATO caliber, 308, 223, 7.62x39, not NATO, but again, a very popular caliber. Those are all good choices. But I'm gonna stick with 308 for this gun, and I'm gonna go with the Desert Tech. Again, this is kind of a Gucci option. You don't need this. Any 308 bolt gun would do great. I'd probably stick with a Ranger style of gun though. Something like, short, essentially. Mag fed's never a bad idea, just because you've got a repeater, then you can take multiple shots if you need. At this point, I'm going to pop the camera out as well, too, so you can just see everything. I've shown everything now, and now you can just see it all, and I can continue to talk a little bit more. But the reason I would go for the Covert, it's very light. Well, it's not super light, but I mean, it's maneuverable. It's a compact package, and sorry, this one is actually, I haven't taken my 338 barrel out yet, which I probably should have done because it's very easy to do. I do also have a 308 barrel that's even shorter. It barely comes out past the handguard. And the reason I would advocate for a short barrel rifle before a long one is you don't really need it until you're really stretching out there. Like 308 out of a 16-inch barrel is still very capable cartridge. Like, and 308 is going to basically take any game in North America, in Europe, like unless you're in Africa, really, like I don't know, really, 308 is gonna get you far. And 16 inches, 308 out of a 16-inch barrel, I think is more than enough to give you enough range. Okay, so I don't think you're gonna be really fighting with range too much at that point. But this is just a great system, and I've opted for a 4x20 optic. This one I've just had this mounted on here. I don't necessarily need an RMR or, you know, a little aim point style optic. This is a Minox RV1. I don't know that you really need that on a gun like this, but hey, it was on there. It looks really sweet. But I just left it on there. This was, again, the zero compromise optic. These are phenomenal optics. Again, this is way more Gucci than someone's gonna need. Accutac bipod. But really my point here is something that's relatively compact and then you don't mind, you know, humping around the backcountry. So with that said, maybe even something really lightweight, like a typical sporting style gun. So, but I don't have too many of those kicking around. This is kind of the stuff I collect. So that's why I'm at where I'm at. But again, as a quick recap, Beretta M9, category 1. We've got ourselves an AR or AK variant for round 2. Gonna go with a shotgun for round 3. Pick 3. 22 of some sort for pick 4. And a bolt gun for pick 5. So that's my go-to, guys. That's my pick of, you know, for my 5 categories for just everyday life. I guess I probably kind of took like a sustenance, you know, stance on this kind of stuff. But honestly, this is going to get you through. This right here would get you through a lot in a lot of different scenarios. I think that's really cool. The reason I would go with SBRs for the semi-autos is again, maneuverability. Smaller package is always better. That could be taken different ways. But with a firearm is in a smaller package, it's just usually better. If you can get a folding stock, great. SBR, I mean, for what you're compromising, you're using a rifle caliber, right? So one of these out of a short barrel, you've still got close to 2,000 feet per second, more than 2,000 feet per second out of either of these options. Like, you don't need more than that when you're in, you know, CQB environments, and you can still take these out to a couple hundred yards easily for hunting applications. So I would go short before I'd go long with my barrels. So I'm gonna leave it there for that. You got lots of guns here. I don't know if I really need to do a bonus gun, but I think, you know, I always do. So what the heck? Let's grab something out of the safe that's, I think, especially cool. And that's going to be this guy here. This is a Colt Canada IUR SAS, made for Britain, their Special Air Service. And I've got it on a Canadian lower. Just to prove clear real quick. But made by ATRS, Alberta Tactical Rifle Systems. This is honestly one of the nicest made lower receivers out there. I absolutely love it. And this gun with a nice little Elcan Spectre DR, Canadian upper, Canadian lower, Canadian optic, that would just be the perfect package, I think, here. So I'm gonna stop saying package now, and I'm gonna pack on for this year. If you made it this far, thank you a ton. If you want to support the channel, please check out the Patreon account for this channel. Link right here. Just that goes a long ways to. I mean, these videos are cheap to make, other than that it's expensive to have the inventory lying around. But the shooting videos, I really want to get more into that this year. Do a lot more shooting content, destructive targets, so that kind of stuff. And those funds that come in to support the channel are going to go so far into doing that kind of content. So thanks a ton, guys. That's all I got for you. Arm and Gun out.